do another tool safety. This will be our last and final tool safety. And we're here today, actually I'm here with Anna and me, Mr. Beer, is the instructor. And we're here today to do the drill press. Okay? Along with the PowerPoint that we'll be following here today and online, and the tool safety from this video, you should be able to become a safe tool operator drill press towards the end. Okay? So here we go. We're just going to follow this drill press PowerPoint along the way here, and we may end up just going through some of this faster than we would expect because this one's a little bit lengthy. Okay, the parts. We're just going to start off with parts. So I'm just going to point out all the parts here as we go through them, and I think at this point what we'll do is we'll just start from the top and work down. Okay, at the very top is the shield. Okay, the shield actually would house in most cases a set of belts and pulleys. Okay, this particular drill press is a slightly better drill press. So what we have is we just have a turn wheel on the front that will actually adjust our speeds. Okay, but if you do have a drill press with belts and pulleys in that upper housing, that there does allow you to change the belt to the different pulleys to do different speeds. But again, this one we just turn a lever and it allows us to do different speeds. Okay, so that brings us to the very front of the machine, and at the very front of the machine on the housing, so go ahead and point to that again, Anna. That's our lever to adjust the speed, and we can go all the way from about 200 RPM to 2500 RPM. Most of our drillings we're going to do with lumber are going to be right around the 200 to about 500 RPM, so we don't have to go overly fast when we drill lumber. Okay, in most cases that's all we'll drill in here. All right. Okay, we move down from that towards the back of the machine, so all the way towards the back. There you go. Okay, at the back there's a black piece on the back that is our motor that operates the drill press. Okay, and then in front of that will be our main housing for the drill component. So it'll be all this here. Okay, and then in the very front of the main housing is a switch. Okay, and again, nice and easily located, so ease of use. And then of course we can go from green to red, so it's color coded also in order to start and stop. All right. Okay, to the left of that, well actually my left as I'm facing it, there is a device that is used for measuring depth, so our depth gauge. Okay, and to operate that, what you can do is the collar on top is you can take and push a little button in the front. Anna, go ahead and push the button, and then you can move the depth gauge up or down to get a certain depth. And what that's used for is actually to drill holes to a certain depth continuously. Okay, so they're all the same. All right, then to the right of the housing, so all the way around to the right. Okay, yep, right there, there's our hand wheel. Okay, and the hand wheel allows our drill press to move up and down. Okay, and then below that will be our drill chuck. Drill chuck. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that's our drill chuck, and that's attached to the spindle, which you can't actually see, but the spindle goes up and it attaches from a belt to the motor, and that's what spins the drill press. Now that chuck that you see there, that is actually a 3-jaw chuck, or it's called a Jacobs chuck. All right, so the 3-jaw or Jacobs chuck. If you look real closely all the way around this thing, there's 1, 2, and then as it spins around, a 3rd hole. Okay, and the 3 different holes are for the actual chuck key, which we'll show here in just a second, to tighten each one of the jaws. Okay, because again, 3 jaws. Right? Okay, right below the chuck there's a chuck key. So go ahead and pick up the chuck key. It's in blue. Yep. That's the chuck key, and that actually allows us to tighten that chuck. So you want to place that in that hole that I talked about. Yep. Yep. There you go. Okay, and then if she takes and turns that, go ahead and turn it. Okay, you see how it turns the chuck then? And it allows these teeth right here to go up and down in order to tighten or loosen the 3-jaw chuck. Again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey in order to do that. Okay. All right, to the back of all those components, there's a pipe. Okay, yep, all the way to the back. Yep, that's called our column right there. All right, so that's our column. And attached to the column is our table. Yep, there's our table. Our table can be adjusted right or left at an angle in order to do like a angle drill. So if we need a hole drill at an angle, we can do that. In most cases, we're just going to have it flat or 90 degrees to the drill press, so we shouldn't have to adjust that. Now, all the way around to the right again, sorry about that, Anna, come around to the right. There is a crank on the table, so go ahead and grab the crank. Oh, way towards the back, there's a crank. Yep, right there. If she turns that, okay, if she turns that, it allows the table to go up or down. Okay, so you see how the table goes up or down? Good. All right, that's so that we can, if we have thicker or thinner stock, we can get the stock in there in order to be able to drill, right? Okay, on our table, if you want to bring that camera up just a little bit closer, go ahead and point to the hole in the center. Okay, there's a hole right in the center. Now what we want to do is we want to align our drill bit. We'll put the drill bit in the chuck here in just a minute. We want to align our drill bit up with that hole so that we do not drill into the table. Now you see there is some cases where, before I got here, there was some not so good situations going on where they actually drilled into the table there. Okay, we are not going to allow that to happen. And the only reason I will know if that happens or not is I'll actually see a nice shiny hole in the metal there. So just make sure that we're definitely lined up with this hole in the center and we're not drilling into the table. Okay? All right, and then at the very base, very bottom of the drill press, okay, that is our base. So go ahead and point to the base. There we go. Okay, so our base is at the very bottom. Now what we don't want to do is we don't want to put our foot in between the table and the base, because if this table decides to slam down on the ground, it's pretty heavy and it'll smash your foot. All right, so definitely don't rest your foot here and then do your drill operations. Okay, just have them planted on the floor and then do your drill operations. All right. We do actually have a light attached. So go around the other side. We do actually have a light attached. Okay. Ours, I actually don't even have a bulb in there because we typically, if you did want it, you could. And I could always put a bulb in if you decide you want it, but at this point I don't have a bulb in there because they can just tend to get broke. We have plenty of light that comes from outside because we're located right by a window. So typically we don't have an issue with that. Alright, but if for some odd reason you want that light, just let me know. And then of course towards the back there is a little tray, or a work tray, yep. And we can rest some of our tools and other stuff there as we go to operate the drill press. Alright. Okay, and that should conclude our parts, right? Drill press. Okay. Various drill bits. We can have lots of different drill bits. We're going to typically be using, on the drill press in here, we'll use different things like a spade bit or a hole saw. A lot of our operations will just use a standard, typical combination drill bit. Okay. The combination drill bit can actually be used in metal, wood, plastic, any of the different types of stuff, right? This can be used in all that types of stuff. Alright. So we will be using that to do our drilling today. Okay, drill presses are a versatile tool, can bore various holes in metals, woods, and plastics. Most drill presses have variable speeds and can do multiple identified holes in the same depth holes in a particular piece, right? Okay, so that's our definition. Drill press safety. First and foremost, we want to make sure we're using safety glasses, right? Excellent. Okay. Do not operate while under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or medication. Well, obviously, because we're in the school, so you definitely can't have those things, okay? Secure any loose-fitting jewelry or clothing, because this does operate in a turning motion, so things like this will get tucked in some way, shape, or form, right? If we tuck them into our shirt or however they get tucked in. Yep, or you could zip it up and tuck them in, but we want to make sure those things aren't an issue and they're put away, there we go, when you go to operate the drill press. Thank you for the demonstration, man. Alright. Always be aware of where your fingers are in relation to the drill bit. That's a very good one, okay? When we have this little combination drill bit and we're drilling into a piece of lumber, what can happen is this could bind and it could break off. Okay? If we have our hand close to where we're drilling and it binds and breaks off, we could slip and it could go into your hand. Okay, I actually know some people that that's happened to, and that is not comfortable at all. Okay? What it tends to do is actually chew things up. So we definitely want to make sure that we have our hands away at a safe distance. You know, I don't, on my safety test, have a safety margin, but I'd say a couple inches away would be a good distance to have your hands away from the drill bit. Okay? Do not use bits that are dull, bent, or damaged. So if this drill bit was dull, don't use it. Come talk to me, we'll sharpen it and or get a different one. Got it? Perfect. Oh, bent? How do we know if they're bent? You put them in the drill chuck, if they wobble, when you turn the machine on, they're bent. Okay? Make sure the bit is centered in the chuck. So not necessarily do they wobble, they're bent, but they could not be centered in this drill chuck also. Okay, do not leave the chuck key in the chuck while operating the machine. Okay, now, eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure these are attached to this machine. Okay? What we don't want to do is leave it in here. Number one, it'll tear up what we have as far as them being fastened. But number two, what it could do is it could become a flying projectile. Right? So you always want to make sure you remove this and set it to the side, like on our tool tray, when we're done putting the drill bit in. Okay? Use a clamp when drilling in most situations. Now, when we're drilling lumber in here, typically we won't use a clamp. Alright? If we have a precise hole we need to drill, we will use a clamp. Okay? And what we want to do is we'll just use wood clamps. So we can go over to the wood clamp rack, we can bring a wood clamp, and you take your wood inside of here and you clamp it together. Alright? So that's typically how we'll clamp to the drill press. Never hold metal in your bare hand while drilling. Lumber, probably okay. Metal, definitely not, because it could cut you if it binds, right? Okay. Never turn the drill press on before clearing the table of all objects, so like your tools and all that stuff. That's why we have that tray, right? Okay, do not use the drill bits that have a screw tip. The drill press speeds, they will bore into the wood and possibly bind, right? So I want to make sure that that's not an issue. Do not start the drill press with the drill bit in contact with the workpiece. So we want to make sure it's up and out of the workpiece. We turn the machine on and do our drill operation. Okay. Always let the drill chuck come to a complete stop before you leave the drill press, right? So we'll wait here, wait for it to come to a complete stop, and then we can leave. Okay, avoid awkward hand positions where a sudden slip could cause you to run your hand into the drill bit, right? Do not attempt to drill a material that does not have a flat surface. Okay, so for instance, taking a round object and drilling it, not overly sought after, right? Okay, so most of our pieces are going to be flat and easy to drill anyway. To prevent rotation of the workpiece, always clamp the work to the table securely. Now, what I'm going to tell you is for lumber, we don't again necessarily have to clamp it. But what we want to do is and the PowerPoint may get to this, okay? But I'm going to go a little bit ahead in case it doesn't get to that. We want to make sure that our workpiece is off to the left of the operator, okay? Anybody tell me why to the left of the operator? Any idea?
Spins to the...
You've already had this before, yeah. Why would we want that there? To the left. Okay, Tessa, tell us why.
Because it spins clockwise this way. So when if the wood gets like caught on it, the wood will spin that way.
Yep. Okay, so if the wood binds on the drill press, or on the drill bit, okay, it'll take the wood and it'll spin it clockwise rotation, and it hits the column, right? Instead of spinning back around and hitting you, which isn't a good thing. So always drill with the workpiece off to the left, not the right of the machine. All right? Okay, and again, this PowerPoint may get to that, but if it doesn't, we've covered it. Okay, never work on the drill press table while the drill is in operation. That means like with different objects, so like if you're gluing or any of that type of stuff, we don't want to be working there while we're drilling. Do not wear gloves, right? That's the biggest one. We don't want to wear gloves while in operation drill press because they can get caught in there. Use a backer board under your piece. Okay, so that's why here for our drill operation that we're going to do, I have one piece of lumber, right? That's not such a good piece of lumber. And then I have my nice finished piece of lumber that goes on top of that. Okay, so then when I drill, I'm drilling through this piece and into this one slightly. That way there's no chance of me, what? Drilling into the table, right, okay? Which we don't want to do. Now the other thing is when we drill through, what this drill bit's going to want to do is tear out the lumber. If we have a backer board there, it actually creates a supporting surface, and that it won't tear out the back side of the piece of lumber, okay? So always a backer board's a good thing to have, always. Check all setups carefully before you operate. Okay, and that's a good one. So always want to double check. Use a proper drill bit for the operation that you're going to be drilling. So if we have a large hole, we probably want to use a spade bit or a hole saw. If we have a smaller hole, we're just going to use a universal bit. Okay. Spade bits, brad points, plug cutters. It talks about different bits in here. Okay. We won't go into those. Auger bits, hole saws, Forstner bits, countersink bits, and we have all those bits. We aren't going to worry about those as far as the safety until we actually get to those, and I'll show you how those operate, those bits, if we have to use them. Do not wear any loose clothing. We've talked about that numerous times, which is excellent. Okay. Do not set speeds too fast. So like I said before, our speeds are going to be between what? What's our speeds going to be between? 200 and 500. Good. Okay, so we don't want to go any faster than that for drilling lumber. Do not force the drill bit. Excellent. If our drill bit doesn't seem like it's cutting through our piece, don't force it. Because if you force it, you're just asking for trouble as far as it binding it or breaking. So we don't want to do that. Okay. Do not leave the chuck key in the drill chuck. We talked about that. We don't want to let that happen. I'm just skipping through here. Oh, do not stop the rotation of the chuck with your hand, right? Or a piece of lumber. Let it come to a complete stop by itself. Let's see. I'm just skipping here still again. Talks about a speed chart for the drill press. I think somewhere around here, actually our textbook will have a speed chart for the different operations, but again, we've talked about the speeds, so those should be okay. Oh, this is also a 1/2-inch chuck. I see this one here talks about the size of the chuck. They can go up to 3/4 size chuck. This is a 1/2-inch chuck, which means we could chuck up a drill bit that's a 1/2-inch diameter and no larger. Okay, so a 1/2-inch drill chuck. And let's see. Talks about more speed. And a lot of this talks about the speed to drill through the hole without the swing the bottom face. Okay. Important, use a scrap piece of wood to prevent drilling through. Setting the depth. We talked about how to set the depth, right? So we're good there. Drill bits, paddle bits, okay. When drilling into metal, cutting, okay. If we drill into metal, which is a possibility in here, we could drill into some metal. We'd want to make sure that we use some type of lubricants, like some oil, okay, along with a combination bit. Makes the drilling operation easier to drill, and number two, it allows the bit not to wear out as fast, right?
Overheat.
Yeah, overheat. We definitely don't want that. And then, of course, return all your bits when you're done using them. And the main thing is, at this point, until I get these the chuck attached to the machine, you want to make sure this comes to me because I keep them in my desk so that they don't wander off. So make sure this comes to me. Okay. Let's see. As far as the operation, Anna would want to make sure she stands here in front of the machine. Okay, so this is considered in front of the machine. When we're doing the operation, and again, board off to the left, and we should be fine making this process, okay? So, we're going to go ahead and we'll set up here. I don't know. Yeah, we should have enough time. So we'll do a little bit of a setup here. We're just going to take this simple combination drill bit. We're going to set it up in this chuck, and then we're just going to do a simple hole into this piece of top lumber, having the bottom one as our backer board. All our stock off to the left of the machine, and we'll just drill through, and it'll be a done deal for the operation, okay? So go ahead, Anna. We want to make sure that we lower the table a little bit because you see here our stock is a little close. Okay, here's how we gauge whether our stock is too close. If we put this drill bit in there, you see how it's going to be. There we go. That's good. Okay. So by the time this is up in there, now we'll have a little bit of distance. We may possibly still want to raise it just a little bit, so go ahead and raise it just a little bit. We're a significant amount off here. There you go. Oh, all right. And this will allow us to then drill into this piece and all the way through with no problems. Okay? All right, we're going to move this off to the side. You can take this drill bit and that chuck. All right, now to get these jaws to open up, without the chuck key, you can take and just spin the chuck like this. Okay, you see how now they're going out? So we go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You see how they're going up in? And you want to turn this until they go up in, that bit will go up in there. And then turn it down by hand until it touches and grabs the bit, and then you take the chuck and tighten. Now, when we tighten with the chuck, we want to tighten 1, 2, and 3 holes, right? That makes sure that that drill bit is tight in that drill chuck. Okay, so go ahead and you can adjust that by hand. Other way. There you go. Keep going. There you go. All right, now when we place the drill bit in the chuck, we don't want the jaws to be on the cutting groove of the bit, okay? We want the jaws to be on the shank, which is this part without these grooves. Okay, so we want to tighten it onto the shank, all right? Other way? No, you're going. You're right. There you go. Good. Okay, and then she's going to take the chuck and she's going to tighten all 3 of those holes. And you want to go nice and snug. There you go. I'll turn it by hand and do the next one. Okay, and then one last one. Good. Then I'll take the chuck and set it up over here. Okay, she's going to place the lumber underneath, making sure, yep, that it's stood off to the left. Now, theoretically what she'd do is she'd mark a spot where we definitely want to put our hole. In this case, we're not overly pushing to be able to have in a certain spot, so we're just demonstrating. So she would have a mark and then she'd follow the mark, but right now we're just going to drill a hole just to drill a hole. Okay? So she lines up and she's going to hold on to the lumber on the left-hand side here. Yep. And then she's going to operate the chuck with the right hand. Okay? Yep. Okay, she go ahead and turn the machine on. And we're going to want to go ahead and press the start button. We're going to want to turn the speed down a little bit. That's a little fast. Oh, push it to the left. There you go. Now, you have to turn the speed down by having the machine running, okay? Keep coming down. Come all the way down to about 200 if you find. Okay, it will not adjust with the machine off, okay? And line up, and then go ahead and see how she has her hand nice and good distance away. Now she'll be able to tell once she gets all the way through because she'll feel like it'll all of a sudden get easy to drill. Now hold on, there we go. Every so often, yep, we want to back out. And backing out of the workpiece actually clears the chips out. Okay, go ahead and keep drilling. You weren't all the way through yet. Okay, now she'd probably want to back, there we go. She's going all the way through. And she backs out, good. Press the stop button. Then she can take and clear the chips away. And the way we do that is you don't want to take your hand and brush them because if they're metal chips, they could cut you. So just take and you can just tap the board on the table. Okay, if this is a finished piece of lumber, you wouldn't want to tap on the table. You take your scrap piece and you can tap on your scrap piece. Okay, because we don't want to ruin a good piece of lumber, right? In this case, it's not, so we can just tap wherever. And it clears all the scraps away, right? And we have a nice drill hole through the piece. Okay. Now for cleanup, what you'd want to do is you'd want to take, here you can see we just semi-drilled into the backer board. It's simple. In this case, what you'd want to do is make sure everything's swept down and cleaned up, and then our drill operation should be done. Now, we can also take and remove the drill bit. The drill bit will go back to where it came from. Lumber goes away, and it's a done deal. Okay? All right. The drill press safety. Along with the PowerPoint and the video. Talk to your instructor with the safety, show the safe operation. Then you need to take a safety test, get the safety test to 100%, and then you should be able to be considered a safe operator of the drill press. Thank you.